they wish that it would have been a scenario where John Morrison's theme music just plays and he shocks the world with a return. I kind of disagree with that too. I don't mind. We know anyway. Like, we all have the internet. It's very rare that somebody re-signs and those rumors aren't out there. You know, every time it would be, well, John Morrison has canceled his dates with Impact Wrestling and with this independent promotion, and he's taken his stuff off Pro Wrestling Tees, and there's all these little things that happen every single time where it's like really not a surprise. Like, it's pretty rare that when somebody, for instance, debuts at a takeover, whether it's, you know, in the crowd or whether even Adam Cole doing that run-in at the Barclays Center a few years back when he debuted in NXT, he was heavily rumored to be going to NXT. It's extreme. When AJ Styles debuted on the main roster, exactly how you wanted him to debut. It was a huge moment, but it was heavily rumored, almost like 90% confirmed that he was going to WWE, right? So, you know, I don't think that this takes away that much. I think that even though we know he's signed, if there is still a surprise, unannounced appearance from John Morrison on a WWE show, I think you'll get a similar, if not identical, reaction to if it wasn't announced on Backstage. You know, there have been no discussions as to which brand he's going to be on. There have been no discussions as to what exactly he's going to be doing, or, you know, I mean public discussions. I'm sure there have been private discussions. You know, you don't just sign a guy and then go, oh, we'll figure it out in a couple weeks. Oh, we'll wait till after the holidays. What I do think is odd is that apparently I saw on Twitter they're putting him on The Bump, which is the Wednesday morning show on the WWE Network, which feels oddly competitive. There's a weird competition, I feel like, going on between The Bump, Backstage, and the Corey Graves Show podcast After the Bell. I feel like the Corey Graves Show, The Bump, and Backstage are all looking to report the scoops before the dirt sheets get them. They're all looking to be that, like, unfiltered opinion from WWE people. And they're all good, and they're all super talented people on them. But it's almost like they're all trying to, and I guess there are people making money out there scooping everybody. WWE might as well get that money for themselves. Go ahead, get that bag. Get that bag. Go for it. But I do wonder if Corey Graves is sitting there like trying to scoop Caleb Braxton. Or, you know, if the producers at Fox are trying to see what The Bump gets. You know, oh, I just found out that on Wednesday, The Bump is going to have an interview with John Morrison in studio. We got to get him in here on Tuesday. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the idea of, you know, there being competition within the WWE. Like, it's all going towards the same goal. But I don't know. Maybe Corey Graves is sitting there trying to be like, okay, Morrison, don't give all the scoops on the Caleb Braxton Bump show. Wait until the Corey Graves After the Bell show. Give the scoops there. Look, at the end of the day, we all know all the scoops are going to come from one man, the last professional broadcaster, hack wrestling journalist, Scoops Roberts, right here on Not Sam Wrestling, Thursday, Not Sam Thursday. But there's still a competition out there for scoops. So it is weird to me that John Morrison is going to be in studio sitting in on The Bump. Because now you're talking about not just reporting he's coming back, but a full sit-down interview, which will be good. You know, I think Caleb Braxton's a really good interviewer, so I like the idea of finding out what he's been up to, finding out why he decided to return to WWE, but I don't remember a time that there's been this much exposure on a talent that was signed before they actually debuted. There's sometimes, like, you see photos of them in, you know, Vince McMahon's office. You see reports that they're going to be, you know, debuting, or reports that they've signed, or whatever it is, but it's rare that somebody's like, yep, I'm coming back to WWE, and I'm going to announce it on this show, and I'm going to do an interview on that show, and then at some point we'll figure out where I'm going. I mean, I'll be tuned in because I'm curious about what's going on with John Morrison. A couple of things I hope for John Morrison. Number one, I would like to see him on SmackDown. I think I'd like to see him on SmackDown. You know, I think that there's a lot of pressure on Raw for somebody to step up and be that main good guy. I don't want to see him on NXT because I feel like he's too established. I think that John Morrison is established enough that in order to maintain his sort of cachet, he would have to go straight to the main event scene in NXT. The main event scene is getting very crowded, and I wouldn't want to see Ciampa or Finn Balor or Keith Lee or Johnny Gargano or even Matt Riddle step back for John Morrison, but I think they would have to. So that's why I hope he doesn't go to NXT. On Raw, with Seth Rollins going through this heel turn, there is sort of this figured out process in finding out who's going to be the top good guy on Raw. Because now you've got AJ Styles and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar all as bad guys. Kevin Owens is probably the top good guy on Raw right now. Rey Mysterio is up there. They put the U.S. title on him. I guess Randy Orton has turned, and he's a good guy. I think that they got to turn Drew McIntyre and make him a good guy, and have Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre be the good guy faces of those shows. I think it would be the best possibility. I mean, how great would it be if they could tell a story that leads to a Drew McIntyre Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania? You talk about doing right by Drew McIntyre. I think that would be my pick for Raw. But that's why I hope he goes to SmackDown, because on SmackDown, you're not going to be bigger than Roman Reigns. You're not going to be bigger than Daniel. You don't have to be bigger than Roman Reigns. You don't have to be bigger than Daniel Bryan. You don't have to be bigger than The Fiend. You can fit nicely in the lower upper mid card range and kind of rebuild that following to the point where when you do end up in the main event, it's because the fans of 2019 and 2020 want to see you there, not because, okay, it's a guy returning and he's got credibility, so we're going to put him right to the main event. And that's a tough place to sink or swim from, to go right to the top, because where do you go from there?